Damn, did you go to bed last night? I think I was out. I was tired. I was dog tired. Like an hour drive or something.
by the wayside. When they try to test your faith. By the wayside. When they try to test your faith.
All right, here we go. We're going to start over. Good morning.
Welcome.
Welcome to Heart Talk.
Mark and Sylvia.
You're welcome. We talk about our topic today. What are you running to? Are you running to something or away from something that God is or has asked you to do? So we just welcome you as we have our table talk this morning. We thank the Lord for another beautiful day. A sunshiny day out there in Ontario. We thank you for this time, this opportunity just to talk real about Heart Talk. So Lord, we thank you for this opportunity this day. Thank you for who you are in our lives. Thank you for waking us up this morning. We thank you for this discussion. We always ask you to join if you want to. Always comment. Comments are always good. So we know that people are watching, and that's why it's Heart Talk, because we all have a heart. We all go through different situations. It's always good to hear some different opinions and thoughts about the topic that we're talking today. So I thank you for this time and this opportunity again to be Heart Talk and just lead and talk about what you have for us to do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. So Heart Talk, putting it on the table, talking about the matters and the issues of our heart, some of the things we deal with, and title, what are you, let me get the banner up, what are you running to? And when I see this, what are you running to? What I see is that, first of all, it's like we're always running to go somewhere and do something. And sometimes I say, I'm running to go home and do nothing. And just sometimes in life, it's like you're running to go and do nothing, just to not do what you were doing or should be doing. You're running to do nothing. But what are you running to? Many times it's been said, what are you running from? And that's even in the introduction that Mark did when he was reading for the introduction. You know, what are you running to, or what are you running from that God is saying to you he wants you to do, or what we say calling you to do? So what are you running to? So rather than what are you running from, what are you running to? And if you're running to nothing and just living life, doing life, it's not going to produce anything, then what are you running to? Or are you running to what God has purpose and plan for you to do in this earth? So that's the question. What are you running to? And initially, 2 years ago, I had put this in my note for this to be a future message, an encouraging word, and it was called a place called Wilderness. That's what it's titled. But as we was looking on it earlier, it was like, what are you running to? But before we get started, again, we are Marcus the pastor of Lutheran Fellowship, and we're here to build you up, not to beat you up. And we'll look over the reason that we're in. But we're here to build you up, not to beat you up. Build you up, not beat you up. And give you an encouraging word for your life. And hopefully, hoping and believing that this is going to help somebody in your life as we share God's heart. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining in. You said we're a little muffled. Huh. We got microphones here. They say we are a little muffled. I'm not sure why we're a little muffled. So we didn't change anything on our microphone. So we should be a little muffled, but we are. We are still doing this right. What we're doing is live stream. I have to try to see what I can hear. But then I gotta be talking so I do go to Facebook. So, well, we are. But then I gotta hold on a minute. Let's see what we can do here. Testing,
There we go.
testing.
1, 2.
Yeah, but the sound, I think, is not coming in. Testing,
There we go. 1,
testing.
2.
Yeah, but the sound. Oh, it's better now. I think it's not coming in.
That's good then.
Okay.
Testing. Yeah, but the sound. Oh, it's better.
Okay, I think we got it. Thank you, Toya. I don't know what changed because all I did is went and change something and then that didn't work. Then I changed it back. So not sure why it was coming through like that, but thank you, Latoya, for letting us know. So those who are just joining us, we are Mark and Sylvia, and we are the pastors of Newbury Fellowship. We were having a little sound issue. Didn't change anything, but you know, devices just do what they do sometimes, and that happens, especially going live. When you go live, you can't edit anything out. It is what it is. I think we were talking at the beginning of the broadcast, didn't know the microphone was on. So hey, we just real people trying to do this the way we believe God is asking us to do it. So we are learning. We're still in that learning curve on how to do this. However, at some point we will do it much, much better. So Mark already prayed, and we are going to go ahead and get into the topic. What are you running to? Again, we're here to give you an encouraging word for your life, to build you up, not beat you up. What are you running to? And when I look at that question, I see where we're always running, going somewhere, doing this or that. And sometimes it's just really just running to just get home. But many times you hear we're running away from God and what he's trying to tell us, what he's calling us to do or ask us to do. But the question is, what are you running to? Are you running to what he is asking you to do or called you to do? Are you running to that versus are you running away? Are you running to that? Because we seem to always be running to something, even if the running to something is really nothing that is productive. Now, I'm not saying we don't run to, in our life doing things that are productive, but many times we're just running to whatever, doing this, doing that. Yes, we can enjoy life and all that life has to offer us, but what are we running to? Are we running to what God is asking you to do, asking us to do? Are we running to that? Or, as we say, are we running away? Or running away from what God is asking us to do? So, and we want you to join in with the topic, the conversation, the question, what are you running to? And today, we're going to talk about a very well-known person in the Bible named Moses. And in my Bible, in Exodus 2, verses 11 through chapter 3:22, it talks about Moses, and it talks about the beginning of Moses. And in my Bible, the heading is God chooses Moses. And we like to say God chooses Mark, Sylvia, Latoya, Diane, Jerome, James, Kathy, Mary, David, Michael, Joanne, Cindy, Harriet, Sharon, Kenny, Karen. God chooses Sylvia, Mark, Latoya. God chooses us. Okay, so it said that God chooses Moses, or we say God chose Moses. And we're in Exodus 2, chapter 2. And so we're not, this is not the encouraging word where we're standing up. This is heart talk, because we're going to be talking about the heart. What are you running to? When it comes to what is going on in your heart, what are you running to? So in Exodus 2, it's about Moses. It talks about the beginning of Moses. You can go read it. It talks about how his life started out, the beginning of Moses. He was born in a time when there was a restriction where you can only have 2 children. There was a law. You can only have 2 children. Well, the mama got pregnant with Moses. So now she knows what the law says, and most likely must be back at that time, they would kill the child because she hid the baby for 3 months. So when she could no longer hide Moses, at 3 months, she had to come up with a plan. That woman came up with a plan to save her child. I think about our last child, Devin, when he was 3 months. I remember he was in a bassinet. I remember the old bassinets in our room at the time, and he was about 3 months. And when they get to be about 3 months, they start knocking around in those old bassinets that were made of wood. Today, I'm not really sure. I don't think I'm sure they're not made like that. But I remember him starting to knock around, like you can hear him moving around in there, his hands knocking the bassinet. So it was time to take him out of the bassinet. So when she says, the Bible says 3 months, Moses was 3 months, and she had hid him up until he was 3 months old. And then she's like, oh, he's getting too big. I can't hide him anymore. And then she came up with a plan. I thank God for just the wisdom and the mind that we have, because we all can come up with a plan to make things better or to work things out or work around something for the good. And so she placed Moses in the Nile River. She put him in this basket. She made this basket that would hold him without the water leaking in. Think about what this mama did. She's like, I got to go to work. I got to save my baby. My baby can't die. I got to come up with a plan. It can't be known that this is our baby, because if it is, then they're going to take him, probably kill him. So she put him in the Nile River in this basket. And Moses was actually rescued by Pharaoh's daughter out of the Nile River. But his sister Miriam was watching where the basket floated to, and it floated to Pharaoh's daughter. And turns out Pharaoh's daughter didn't have any children. So the sister Miriam said, as she was watching what happened, she ran to Pharaoh's daughter and said, hey, you want somebody to nurse this baby, until they're weaned off? And she said, yeah. And the little girl's like, I got somebody you can hire to nurse the baby. Think about that. Back in the day, they hired people to nurse the baby. But it was Moses' mama. Moses' mama got paid to nurse her son that she saved from that restriction or law of you can only have 2 kids, and they probably was going to kill him. But think about that. Look at God. Moses' mama got paid to nurse him. Think about that. Anyway, so Moses was rescued out of the river by Pharaoh's daughter, who was a princess. And the little girl said, hey, I know somebody can nurse the baby. And she's like, I'll pay her to nurse the baby. So Moses' mama nursed him for however long you nursed a child back then. I mean, I know now it's 1 year. Sometimes it's even 2, and then you wean them off of the nursing. So the baby was given back to the mama. Think about that. Look at God. The woman had courage to come up with a way to hide her baby and put him in the river. She had some courage. That took some courage, because if she got caught, who knows? Maybe they would have killed her too, and her baby. And her husband and 2 children would have been left without a mama. So she had courage. Somewhere in there, she trusted God to come up with this plan to put that baby in the river. And so again, the baby was given back to the mama nurse. And then when the baby was given back to Pharaoh's daughter, he was considered a prince. So Moses went from being, a baby that was born, and he was born like a Hebrew slave, because the Hebrews were the slaves to Egyptians. So he was born a Hebrew slave. I'm trying to help him get through this because I want to get to the heart of the matter. But he was abandoned in the river by his mama, and then he was rescued by a prince, and then he became a prince. And then more of the story as we get into it, he became a couple other things. But he was rescued. He was rescued and given a chance at life that if the mama hadn't been maybe had the courage to follow what God was telling her to do, Moses would have not made it here. He would have not lived. And then, the other part of Moses' story is then he became a murderer, an outcast, and a rescuer and a leader. And I think it's something how Moses was rescued and he became a rescuer.
as we just go a little more about Moses. But we have been given to God. Like Moses was given back to his mother to nurse. Moses was given back to his Pharaoh's daughter to be raised. We have been given to God. We had natural parents, right? We all had natural parents. We came through our natural parents, and God, brought us through our natural parents, gave us to our natural parents. And for me, I know I've learned with each one of our children to give them back to God. And so, in a sense, that's what happens with us. We're given back to God to be his spiritual sons and daughters, right? And I know for my children, I had to give them back because, your children, I was talking to a mother yesterday, how when they're little, they're on your lap. But when they're older or adults, they're on your heart. Your children are on your heart. And so I know for me, I had to give my children, my children back to God. And I hope and pray and believe that they will become God's sons and daughters, his spiritual sons and daughters. So Moses, he was rescued and he was given back to his mother, given back to Pharaoh. And now he's a prince in the palace with Pharaoh's daughter, as Pharaoh's daughter's son, living that life as a prince, right? Now he was born into a Hebrew slave family. But look at God. And then he was an adult. He was watching the Hebrews work, hard labor for the Egyptians, and they were slaves. And he saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew that was already working hard. And Moses went and killed a man. He killed the man. He killed the Egyptian. And then a couple of days later, or I don't know, that week or whatever, go read the story. It's in Exodus 2. Two Hebrews were fighting. Now, Moses always knew he was a Hebrew, but he was living his life as an Egyptian. And so he said, hey, brothers, stop fighting each other, brothers. Don't hurt each other, brothers. And when I'm saying, well, who are you to tell us what to do? We saw you kill that man. You're a murderer. How are you trying to tell us what to do? And Moses was like, oh, no. And then Pharaoh found out that Moses had killed an Egyptian. So he wanted to kill Pharaoh. He wanted to kill Moses. So Moses ran. He started running for his life. He was running, but he didn't know he was running into his purpose, y'all. Get that. He was running into his purpose because he ran because Pharaoh found out he had killed an Egyptian based on these two Hebrews saying, well, who are you to tell us what to do? And so he ran into the desert, a dry place, y'all. Get this, a dry place. What are you running to? He ran into the desert and went into hiding from what life had handed him, because life had handed him a good card. Now, like it started out bad. Born when they were saying don't you have no more babies? You only get two. Don't get any more. Mama had to hide him so he wouldn't be killed. Ended up coming back to the mama, going back to Pharaoh, right? Having a good life, a prince. Come on, he in a palace as a prince, been treated as royalty, and then he makes a decision, right, to kill this Egyptian because he saw the injustice that was being done to one of his people in a sense. So he killed the Egyptian and he's running for his life now. But he was running into his purpose. And sometimes, we're running away, we believe, from what God is telling us to do. However, if we keep running to, and we keep, how do I want to say that? We keep running to, we can and will run into our purpose. And that's what Moses did. In a sense, he ran into his purpose. So he's out in the desert. He's alone. He's just like, oh my gosh, I did this. I got to go into hiding. I don't want this guy to kill me. But are we like Moses, hiding out in the wilderness? Because our hopes and our dreams they've been killed. They haven't happened yet. And so we're running into the wilderness, running away from God. But what are we running into? We can very well be running into our purpose. But where are we going? Where are we going? See, God always has a plan. He really does. And so Moses was running from Pharaoh not to be killed, but he was really running into his purpose. God, he had a plan. God already had a plan for Moses' life from the time he was in his mother's womb. He always had a plan. But Moses was out in that wilderness probably thinking like, hey, I'm done. What's going to happen to me now? I'm a murderer. I'm just going to hang out in the wilderness for the rest of my life, just, away from everybody. But God had a plan. God already had a plan for Moses' life, just like for us. He already has a plan for our life from the time we are conceived or even before we conceive. He already has a plan for our life. What are you running to? Are you running into the plan and the purpose that God has for your life? Yeah, I know we have lives, a husband, wife, children, jobs, all that. I get it. But what are we running to? Just to the next day? Just to survive the next day? Is that what I'm running to? Just to survive the next day? But in our wilderness and in Moses' wilderness, he was in a time of preparation. He may not have known it, but he was in a time of preparation. We may not know it when we are in the wilderness or have been in the wilderness. We were in a time of preparation. Because I believe we have to go through that time of preparation. So Moses was out in the wilderness for many years. Supposedly, I think what the way the Bible has it is that he was about 40 when he ran into the wilderness. He was about 80 when he had this encounter with God. So he in the wilderness, living out in the wilderness. And another part of this that I didn't say yet, or mention yet, is that he actually went in the wilderness to the name of the place where he went was Median. It begins with the M. Where he ended up in the wilderness. There was a name of the location of the place. I know, y'all. This is not your encouraging word like Median, Median, Minden. Minden. He was in Minden. He ran to, I guess his wilderness place was called Minden. It was in a location called Minden, and some ladies had came to get water for their. Okay, so Moses fled from Pharaoh and went to live in Minden, where he sat down by a well. Now a priest of Minden had 7 daughters, and they came to draw water and fill the troughs to water their father's flock. And so some shepherds came along and drove them away. But Moses got up and came to their rescue and watered their flock. Rescue. Remember that word we said earlier about Moses was rescued and God is going to use him to be a rescuer? That was like he tried to rescue or make right the Egyptian, he did. He rescued the Egyptian, the Hebrew that was beating the Egyptian. He rescued a Hebrew, but he killed the Egyptian. Then he tried to stop the 2 Hebrews from fighting, and then he rescued these ladies. And then the plan of God for Moses was he was going to rescue the Israelites out of Egypt. Look at that. God used somebody that he rescued out of the Nile River to be a rescuer. And that was Moses' purpose from the time that he was even before he was conceived. He was to be a rescuer. Look at how God does things. Look at your life and look at some of the ways that you are and what draws you to life, to people, to whatever. In that, is that your purpose? Because, look into your heart. Like, what is it that I always gravitate to? I always do. I always love to do. I find myself doing, ask yourself these questions. Because Moses was a rescuer. He was rescued to rescue. Look how God works and operates. He was rescued to be a rescuer. He was rescued to rescue. And so Moses had encountered these ladies, and then the father, they went home and they said, well, what happened? What is this guy? He helped us out. We got some water for your flock because this guy stopped the shepherds from, taking it away from us. And the dad is like, well, invite him he helped us out. Invite him to dinner. And so they did. And then he gave one of his daughters to Moses as a wife. Right? And then Moses was still living in Midian, which must have been a type of wilderness area. Well, Moses was out there by himself one day, and he had an encounter with God through the burning bush. Y'all know the story, burning bush, right? He had an encounter with God through the burning bush. And God spoke to him through the burning bush. And he asked him, first, I think he told him, he spoke to him through the burning bush. Well, I guess I'm gonna paraphrase it. Oh, well, I wasn't trying to go all into the burning bush, but yes, he spoke to him through the burning bush, and then he gave him instructions that this is what I want you to do. I want you to rescue the Israelites. So, y'all, this is what, like, this heart thing is. The hard part of this is, what are you running to? Like he said to Moses, I want you to rescue the Israelites. And so Moses was giving him reasons why he can't do it. I can't do it because, but God was saying, this is what I want you. This is the time that you was born. This is the opportunity. And Moses didn't expect this, but this is what God was saying. Okay, this is it, Moses. This is it, Sylvia. This is it, Mark. This is it, Joanne. This is it, Mike. This is it, Bob. It comes a time where you're like, okay, this is it. This is what I want you to do. And this is, what is in your heart that you know that God has been saying, this is what I want you to do. What is it?
But with the story with Moses, what he did, that's why he ran.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, things in our lives that we do, we run from God because we're embarrassed about what we have done, but yet God already knows everything. So that's where, just trying to tie it into the story with Moses, he committed murder and he ran because he knew what he'd done. So whatever we've done, that's just trying to put a little note on that part of the story. Whatever we've done, why are we running away from God? What have we done that we're running from God because we knew what we did wasn't right?
Mm-hmm.
So with Moses, it was that. In our situation, why are we running? Or what are you running to? Just like it says on the screen, what are you running to? So, but we're just trying to tie it into Moses, and now let's tie it into our lives.
Mm-hmm.
What are we running to
concerning God in our lives?
Right, stuff like that. So with Moses, he ran to Midian to get away. Mm-hmm. So I guess I'm just trying to tie it into we're running to Midian or wherever because of what we've done, and now God is calling us as he called Moses and saying, hey, I see you, I still love you. So now let's, just trying to tie that into the story, applying our lives to the story.
Mm-hmm. So, it's true. Like, if you look at this picture of Moses and what he experienced and how he experienced it, and you turn around and you put it right back to your life, where do you see yourself in this story? So as I was, going through this, it was like, I wrote this out. I wrote it out and said, I see Moses represents, it's like, okay, look at this. look at it this way. Moses represents God as someone who will fight for you to be free from anything that enslaves you. I see him as a rescuer, but I also see us as someone who is running from who we are to be in this earth and who God wants us to be. And he is calling us to be who he says we are. And so Moses, if you look at like Moses, what I'm saying, like God is fighting for us to be free from anything that is keeping us out of our purpose, keeping us away from our purpose, keeping us from being who God purposed and planned for us to be. He's fighting for that, for us. You know, like Moses was like, because Moses went into the place of, he said, yes, God, I'll do this. You know, even with all the excuses he gave, I can't talk. You know, what about this? What about that? What do I tell him sent me? You know, he was all these things he was asking God. Mm-hmm. And then he just said, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it. And so God is fighting for us to say, you know, and I mean, he's not beating us up or anything, for us to say, okay, God, I trust you. I'm going to do this. I don't know how to do it. I've never done it. I'm going to focus on you. I'm going to believe you that, you know, you're saying, you know, you want me to do this. Don't know how to do it. Might mess up here and there doing it, but I'm going to do it. We're going to do it. We might mess up, might not look like we know what we're doing. People are going to call us whatever. People call Moses a murderer. Think about it. Probably call him, well, you know, you're a murderer. You, if nothing else, he was called a murderer because he killed that man and somebody saw it and he ran. Mm-hmm. You know, people gonna call. People call us. I'm sure they say stuff about us. Well, what are they doing up there trying to do what they're doing? And look at the video. They can't even. They talking. They doing this. They can't get it right. You know, people talking about us. And people talked about Moses. People going to talk about any of us. We all talk about each other. Come on, let's keep it real. We talk about each other. We judge each other all the time. But people was talking about Moses, but he made up his mind to say, okay, God, don't know how to do this. Never did this. I'm scared. You know, what are people going to say? What are people going to think? What do I tell them, you know, when they say this? Come on, go to the heart. What is God speaking to your heart about your life and your purpose and what he is asking you to do, right? Mm-hmm. Are we like Moses, running and hiding out in that dry desert place of life, right? And lonely and like, okay, God has been like poking you forever saying, come on, Sylvia. And I'm like, no. And I'm running here, running there. I'm running to this, running to that, running to this, running to that, running to this, running to that. And it still ain't producing nothing. Oh, I'm happy now. I'm not happy. I'm happy, not happy. This will make me happy. Oh, this is making me happy. Oh, that didn't make me happy. Oh, that didn't make me happy. I'll go ahead. Now I'll try this and now I'll try that. Well, let me try this. Well, I'll do it this way and I'll do it that way. Think about it. That's how we are. I'm talking about myself too, but that's how we are. And if we just like, okay, God, not to say, you know, everything, you ain't gonna, you know, well, I speak from my place of life and experience. Okay. And so I know that this is where we're supposed to be right now. So that doesn't like, it's not like I don't do other stuff, but this that I know is what we are to be doing. And that brings that contentment and satisfaction of, okay, this is what we're supposed to be doing. But when you don't have that contentment and satisfaction, think about it, y'all, then it's like here, there, everywhere. Is this it? Is that it? Is this it? Is that it? When just the Bible says, be still and know that I'm God. And when I had looked that verse up at one point, one of the definitions was cease from striving to do this, striving to do that, do this, do that. I'm not saying that you ain't a human being, that you don't live life and do stuff. I mean, I do all kind of stuff. Always doing something. And to the point where people are like, well, you're so busy. Well, I mean, I'm just doing what I do as far as enjoying life. But I know that this right here is what I'm supposed to be doing with all the other stuff, more than anything, this here. And that brings that contentment that, when I do the other stuff, it's not doing it and striving or doing it like trying to like, is this it? Is that it? I know that this is what I'm supposed to be doing, or we're supposed to be doing right here. And that brings that contentment and that satisfying part of, okay, we're where we're supposed to be and what God is asking us to do in his will. And so this heart thing, go and say, okay, well, am I running to the purposes of God? Am I running into the purposes of God? And Moses was running away, but he was actually running into his purpose, into his preparation and then his purpose. That's a whole nother way to look at this story about Moses. But again, are we hiding out in the dry desert of life, trying to quench that thirst of things and stuff and people and circumstances, situations, and this and that, and da? Are we trying to do that out in that dry place in life, that wilderness of life? And when we can actually be in that place of, and while we're in that wilderness preparation and then purpose, how about that? Okay, this is not a good place I'm in right now, but God, what are you saying? What are you doing? What are you saying to me right now while I'm in this wilderness? What are you doing? Okay, God. Okay. All right. So, okay. All right. Well, you know what? I'm going to go with you, God. And even though you still might encounter things in your life, I believe, and for me, it's brought me to a place of freedom and prosperity. Not just prosperity is not money, y'all. That's one type of prosperity. But when we say prosperity, we always think money. Prosperity and just life, enjoying life, having God's joy, not just happiness, but God's joy, even in the midst of a hard place at times in life. And again, I keep speaking on that word contentment and satisfaction. Coming into a place of contentment and satisfaction. So what are you running to? What are you running to? What are you running to? That's the question for today. Are you running into your purpose? Are you running away from your purpose?
Or like what are you trying to fill that area with?
That's good. Yeah. What are you trying to fill that unsatisfaction with? That void.
Or that situation.
Yeah. What are you trying to fill it with?
Whatever you're dealing with at the moment. What are you trying to fill that with?
Are you trying to fill it with him? Him or something else? I've learned in life, I don't know Jack. I think I know and I don't know Jack. And sometimes I see, and it's like, we think we have it all figured out. We ain't got nothing figured out. We don't have nothing on God.
Because we're always trying to look for that next thing.
That next. Yeah, what are you running to? What's that next thing that you're running to? Instead of running to your purpose, what's that next? I like that. And God is saying, come out of the wilderness, y'all. Come out of the wilderness. Isolating yourself and feeling alone and lonely and Come out of the wilderness of life that you're living in. If you find yourself in that place, you find yourself in those words about, I'm in the wilderness of life right now. Come out and run into what God has for you. Run into that. You know, run out of that wilderness and run into the what God has for you. And trust him. You know, this is such a trust thing. Trust him with your heart. Trust him with your heart. Trust him with your life. And put your faith in him. Faith is supernatural. People don't understand it because it's not a natural thing. It's a supernatural thing. Faith is supernatural. You can't wrap your natural mind around it because it's supernatural. It takes faith to believe in something you can't see yet. You can have a vision of it, but you can't tangibly hold on to it and see it like I see this phone right now. So run into your purpose. Run to God, and you're running to your purpose. Put your faith and hope and trust in him. And you'll go into a place in your life where you become content. Content with your life in him. And not to say you ain't gonna do other stuff and whatever. Things will be good, things won't be good, things will be bad, good, great. Seasons of things like that. Because I see life as seasons. So what are you running to? What are you running to? So that is our heart talk for today. Honestly, it seemed like it was more of the encouraging word than a heart talk. But come on, y'all. Deal with the matters and the issues of your heart. Deal with the matters and issues. It's a heart thing. God is dealing with the matters. And if God is saying, okay, it's time for you to run into your purpose. Okay, God, I don't know how to do this. As Moses was, don't know how to do this. And what if? But run into him, and you run into your purpose. And you run into a place of, again, like freedom and contentment and that prosperity of life, not just the money part and the joy and the peace and all that. And even though things come and go and happen and this, you know, you might start to feel fear and you might, you know, need a little more courage in an area, you know, but in all of that, because you know that you know, okay, God, this is where you have us right now. There's that contentment. There's that satisfaction, that place that he feels and says, okay, all right, you know, we good. God, we good. You want to be good with God. God, we good. We good. Okay, I might have a little struggle over there. Okay, God, help me, but we good. You want to be good with him. So what are you running into? Are you just running from day to day, doing whatever day to day? Are you running into where he is saying, come on, Sylvia, come on, Mark. We trying to get there. But we believe that we're going to where he is saying, come on, y'all. Come on, you two. Or come on, you. Come on, I have you. Come on, I have your purpose. It's come on into this. Come on, run into this, run into me, because I have your purpose. And if you know your purpose and you ain't running into it, start running into it. because God is fighting on our behalf for our purpose. He's rescuing us for our purpose. He's setting us free for our purpose. He's giving us contentment for our purpose. And he's fighting for us. Because there's somebody that is an enemy of our soul, doesn't ever want to see us stand in our purpose, be in our purpose, and live in our purpose. He want to see us just out there running here, running there, striving there, going and still. And guys like, come on, your purpose right here. Come on. God don't move. He don't change right there. Focus. Come on, Sylvia. Focus. Focus. Come on, right here. Come on, Sylvia. Trust me. Trust me. Yeah, I know you don't know how to do it. You never did it before. But come on, this is an opportunity for you to represent me in this earth with the purposes that I have for you. This is what he did with Moses. Come on, Moses, come out of the wilderness. Come on, run to me, Moses. Run out of the wilderness and run to me. And I was, while you was in that wilderness, there was some preparation, but come on, run to me. I want you to lead, rescue, and lead these people out of bondage, out of slavery. I want you to lead them. Come on, Moses. Well, God, I don't know how to do this. What if they say, well, who told you to do this? What if when I start talking to them, I stutter? What if when we try to get this broadcast going, we forget to unmute her, the mute ain't working, and no, ain't but one person watching, and ain't nobody commenting on it, and let's keep it real. And we keep doing it Sunday after Sunday, and nobody come and join us. And, oh, God, what if? Come on, let's keep it real. I mean, he's human, I'm human. But we know that we are to keep running to what God is saying to do. We can just say, forget this. We can sleep in on Sunday. Right? Right? Come on, somebody. Anywho, when you're running into your purpose, you have to say, you know what? We got to keep running. Even though all that is being questioned in our mind, or even questioned by other people, or said by other people, whatever they might say about us. Like they said about Moses, you're a murderer, ain't no business. Like, think about it. Like, Moses, you murder, God, you sending him back to rescue us. He murdered that man, remember, God? Remember when she was doing this? And he was doing that, and now you talking about they gonna do this together? Really, God? Yeah, really, God, because God works like that. He still had Moses lead people out of the wilderness. And so if you've had an encounter with God like Moses, or, just God, if you're having God encounter me, ask him, encounter me. I want to run into my purpose. Encounter me, God. I'm ready to run into my purpose. What do you have that you're asking me to do? Or God, I know what you're asking me to do. Help me to run into my purpose. Help me, God. I know you've been asking me for years, and I'm still, I'm being a little slowful, God. Because there's no way that Mark and I can do this without him. I can tell you, faith is supernatural. I believe that trust thing with God is supernatural. He's supernatural. He's not natural. He's supernatural. This is a supernatural thing with God. And if I try to do it in my natural, I won't do it. If I just keep thinking about the natural part. We won't do it. But this thing is supernatural. It is. Amen. Thank you, Rowena, for your encouragement. Thank you for your encouragement. So, y'all, we're about to roll up on out of here. Thank you for joining us. What are you running to? So, you got anything else? This is Mark. And I'm Sylvia, pastors of New Breed Fellowship. Thank you for joining us. And join us again. Love you too. And until next time, we want you to live well. We got to get this right. Take care of yourself. And God bless. Love you.
What you gonna do when your back's against the wall? How you gonna respond when it seems the hope is lost? Tell me what you gonna do when you need a little more grace.
Oh, and I let it fall by the
How you gonna
wayside.
respond when they try to test your faith?
Fall by the wayside.
When they try to test your faith.
Fall by the wayside.
When they try